recorded. This meeting is now being recorded.
All right, hello everybody. This is going to be the final overview on the fourth meeting in our four-step sales process. I'm going to be swapping in a new client lifecycle model for you guys today, simply because this is a client that just came into my office and we have done a bunch of work for them. And a couple things popped up that I think are important enough for us to talk about today. And you know, honestly, this particular client is just a very, very typical looking client of ours. They just retired. The husband retired last year. The husband's 68. The wife is 64. Got a few grown kids. They still have a little bit of the group life insurance to work, and the premiums have really started to skyrocket on them. Scrolling down, you'll see that they've got a retirement annuity, and they still have some money in their TSP. They're drawing income from both of these things. They know what Roths are because they got a little bit of Roth, but not a lot. They got a decent amount of money in savings here, and they got a little bit of inherited stock. So, you know, this is a lot of things that we see sort of every day. A couple of the nuances, though, that we don't normally see is these people don't own a home. So what they basically did was they sold their home right before they retired, and they started renting because they didn't want to deal with the house maintenance. And they also took a 6-month vacation to Europe. So during that 6 months, what they normally would have paid for rent, they put all their stuff in storage and they basically traveled to Europe. So they did sort of the dream vacation, the dream traveling that they always wanted to do, and all that is fine. The wife never really worked, but she obviously built up some Social Security credits. I take that back. She did work enough to build up some Social Security credits on her own. However, it looks to me like it's going to be better for her to draw on her husband's Social Security to get half of his. We'll talk about that in a couple seconds here. But when he was working, he was making about $130,000, $140,000 a year, and they were maxing out their retirement accounts, as many people do. So what ended up happening when we sort of built all their numbers out for retirement is that they're going to be making much more money than they realized. So, you know, the pension's $40,000, Social Security is another 40 some odd thousand, and then the third leg of the retirement stool, which is retirement accounts, is another 40 some odd thousand. So all three of these things together, they're looking at, you know, over $140,000 of income. It's actually a higher income and even a potentially higher tax bracket that they had while they were working. Now, the opportunity is there's going to be a lull. And the lull is before their full Social Security kicks in and before their RMDs kick in, they're going to be in a little bit of a lower tax bracket. This is the opportunity that many, many of our clients have right now up until 2025 when tax rates go back up. So we really want to take advantage of distributing additional money from their retirement accounts and maybe even Roth converting or moving some into tax sheltered stuff. But they're in the lowest tax bracket now that they're ever going to be in, almost for sure. Because once these additional things of income start popping up, they're going to just go into higher brackets. Once the tax rates get reset in 2025, their brackets are going to go back up. So we really have an opportunity to do some tax planning with them, and we really want to make sure that we introduce them to those ideas. The last idea also here for tax benefit is potentially throwing some of these stocks into a CRUT. You know, so I'm not going to go through all the CRUT stuff today because this really should be the last meeting. I want to talk a little bit about final strategy. I'm going to go over some life insurance stuff. But in this entire discussion, what we've really been talking about is we've been talking about taxes, we've been talking about fees, and we've been talking about reducing volatility and controlling some other accounts. Now, here's the real reason why I'm telling you guys about this case. Before this couple went on their trip to Europe, I had suggested that they apply for some insurance. And the husband has some medical issues that, you know, I didn't feel like they were that significant, but he had some stuff that wasn't fully diagnosed. So they had asked him to get some more medical tests done, and he said he would get them done when he got back. The wife, however, we did underwrite for insurance, and she got Preferred Plus. So she was mega healthy, and she got Preferred Plus, and I kind of went over with them some of the benefits of what we wanted to do with insurance, long-term care, etc., and they put me off. And because, I'm not super high pressure and it wasn't a huge deal to me to have them put me off for 6 months, I said, no problem. I can reopen your case when you get back. So they did their traveling, and I'd introduced them to the CRUT for the stock. I had introduced them to asset-based long-term care for the money they had in savings. So that's some really good stuff we were going to do. They're already starting to take money out of their retirement accounts. They got almost $1 million here, 900,000. They're taking out $36,000 a year, so about 4%, which I think felt right for them. But they had plenty of money, no problem whatsoever. Well, he comes back into my office, and he was very kind of distraught. And he said to me, I went over my budget, and we have extra income, more income than we need. In fact, I'm holding their budget in front of me right now. And their total income was about $11,000 a month, about $133,000 a year. And they only needed about $115,000 to live. So they were plus, more than $1,000 a month to the positive, which was great. But the reason why he was distraught was because in the last, I guess it's about 8 or 9 months now since I've seen his wife, she started losing her memory. And when I asked him, I said, when you say losing her memory, what do you mean? And he basically said that, she will ask him the same question twice. She'll be driving somewhere, she won't remember where she's going. They've been going to doctors, and there's a high likelihood that she has early onset, some sort of Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever. And my heart just sank because they literally could have gotten the Cadillac of all policies, the preferred plus rating 8 or 9 months ago, and this would have been covered. And he says to me, I know she's healthy because we did that insurance exam. She's super healthy physically. She could easily live 30 years, but I can't even tell you how quickly her memory has declined over the last, 6 to 9 months. And he just didn't even know what to do. And I didn't know what to say. And so, my general feeling was I let these guys down because I easily could have said, hey, you know what? Let's put something in place now. Let's hold this rating. You're never going to be younger or healthier than you are now. It's a very easy close for me, and I didn't do it. And, he looked at me, and his wife didn't come in. He's like, I think he's going to bring his wife in during tax time to go over her stuff. But he looked at me, he's like, it was a huge mistake on my part and our part not to listen to what you had to say and get this stuff squared away when we could have. And now we're just worried about our kids. We're worried about spending all of our money. We're about all these other things that we really weren't too concerned about before because we didn't really think it could happen to us. And he's like, I can tell you right now, my wife's going in for CAT scans and MRIs, and I already know what the answer is going to be. He's like, I've been around the people long enough. I've dealt with people in my family, and she definitely has some type of early onset memory disorder. So I'm going to go over some solutions with you guys now, but this really hits home with me, and this is sort of the reason why we do this stuff that we do. And I tell people this all the time. The vast majority of financial planners out there or advisors or whatever, the stuff they do is almost irrelevant. It doesn't really matter what they do because people are going to, perform however the market's going to perform. Taxes are going to do whatever taxes are going to do. Quite honestly, a lot of the stuff just doesn't matter. But what does matter is when something goes wrong. And when something goes wrong, that's really where we should be shining. I've had so many clients come into me that have had strokes or gotten disabled, and my office goes into like crisis mode when somebody calls me and says my husband passed away or my husband got in a car accident or somebody fell off the roof. We pull their file and we never ask the question, did we sell them insurance? That's never the question, right? The question is always, how much insurance did we sell them? How much benefit are we going to be able to bring to the family in this time of crisis? And once in a while, one of these cases slips through our fingers and we didn't do a good enough job following up and we weren't diligent enough, because we didn't want to pressure somebody or whatever. But if we have the opportunity to impress upon people our beliefs and our philosophy, they will sense that and they will appreciate it. And if we did the best job we could, then so be it. But if we didn't even offer them a solution, if we didn't even offer them the protection, if we didn't even offer them or show them what would happen if they continued down the road without making any changes, if we don't go over the scenarios with them, then that's really on us. So the culmination of all the stuff that we're doing, yeah, we're going to be able to get money from rollovers. Yeah, we're going to do insurance. Yeah, we can collect money for trusts, AUM, all this kind of great stuff. Have people feel good and secure. But our time to shine is when something goes wrong, right? When the market crashes, that's when we shine. When the stock market crashes and we have a bunch of other money that's not affected, that's where we really shine. if the tax rates go up and they really get screwed on taxes because the government's coming after us, Secure Act kind of stuff, and we have a bunch of the money tax sheltered, that's where we shine. They get disabled, they get sick. That's really what we're here for. And I just wanted to kind of culminate our sort of 4-meeting process, remembering that, we can pat ourselves in the back all we want because the market went up by 20%, but that had nothing to do with us. It really literally had nothing to do with us. And if we think that it did, then you're just deluding yourself, right? But when the market doesn't do well and taxes go up, inflation starts to run rampant again, housing prices start to fall, long-term care expenses get out of hand. When we have clients that are in crisis and we've positioned them to be able to handle that crisis in the best manner possible, I really believe that is our primary role here, and that is when we need to step up and be able to hand out benefits that these clients would never have gotten if they had never met with us. So we deal with special needs kids all the time. We deal with people who die prematurely and their kids need to be adopted by their grandparents. I mean, I've had so many different scenarios come up in the last year, just through the volume of people that I see. That I am just a tremendous believer in making sure everybody's aware of all the options, and if they don't want to choose them, then they don't have to choose them, right? No problem at all. So let's go back and let's assume that these guys didn't have this issue where the husband couldn't get insurance and the wife has this medical issue, which is really tragic. The first thing we're going to do is just remind them that the wife can draw off the husband's Social Security. So obviously, if the husband is drawing Social Security already, which he is, there's no reason for the wife to wait any longer. Even if the wife's only 64 because she's not working, she's going to take a hit, right? And that hit is going to be maybe about 12% reduction of her full Social Security benefits. She should take half of his benefit now, because in every scenario that's likely to happen, we don't know what her life expectancy is. She's going to need and want this money now. So rather than her taking her $8,000 or whatever, you can't do the file and suspend or any of that stuff anymore. She's going to go ahead and file on the husband's benefit, and she's going to get $17,000 a year or so. So she'll get that money right now, and she can start saving that for the medical care that she's probably going to need. So the Social Security stuff is good. On the flip side of it, we have this money in these IRAs and retirement accounts, and obviously we want to get the rest of his retirement account money. But you'll see here, even with the withdrawals that they're taking, if we get a reasonable rate of return, their accounts are still growing over time. We obviously earned more than 5% last year, but I'm just showing you moving forward earning a 5% deal. What I really want to do is I want to impose upon them or impress upon them the idea of the Secure Act coming and making them cash out all their IRAs if they want to leave it to their 3 kids. And so this is where the insurance comes into play, and we're going to do life insurance with a long-term care rider in this scenario. And this is how we're going to plan it out. We're going to go to the calculator, and our final life insurance solution is going to show them with about $900,000 in their combined retirement accounts. They've got about $36,000 of withdrawals they're doing. And in this case, if we do this, you'll see that their accounts are just going to slowly grow over time. So taking the required minimum or whatever this number came from, their accounts are slowly going to grow over time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little extra money out. So we're going to boost this withdrawal up to, let's say, $50,000. And instead of taking out 36, I'm going to take out 50. And by taking out 50, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly reduce their benefit. So it's not like a radical 10-year pay down, but it's going to slowly reduce the growth in their IRA. They're still going to get the exact same amount of money, but now I get an extra $14,000 that I can direct towards insurance, right? So that extra $14,000 I'm going to use for insurance. And then on top of that, I also have some money coming from this inherited stock portfolio, right? So I can throw this money into the trust. I'll show you guys the trust scenario real quick. Got $164,000, right? And they're going to do a gift trust at a 5% payment rate. And they can add more money into this later on if they want to, because they got over $100,000 in savings. But I'll do this based upon a 68-year-old. So I got an extra tax benefit here of $80,000, and I've got an extra income boost of about $8,000. So that $8,000 plus the $14,000, that brings me up to about $22,000 of income that I think we can redirect towards getting some extra insurance protection for their estate in this scenario. All right, so that's the solution of the resources. The one other resource that I do have is besides the income coming from the IRAs and the trust. As I was saying to you before, these guys have about $1,000 to $1,500 a month more than they need right now. So they're actually able to save in retirement, which is a really nice thing. In fact, they'll probably be able to even do more than that once her Social Security kicks in. So they probably can save a couple $1,000 a month. So there's two different solutions that we want to look at. The first solution is, I guess we would call it the low premium solution, is if they just want to get some benefits here for long-term care and for their estate, tax-free estate, they can get a $500,000 policy. This would be a just a simple flat level death benefit policy for $16,000 a year. This kind of stuff is pretty simple. There's not really a lot of moving parts here. If they go to their late 90s and whatever, they're going to be building some significant cash in here. But early on, this is not really designed for cash. It's designed to give them some benefit in case the husband or wife dies first, whoever their insurance is on. This is a super preferred rate. And then, obviously, if they build cash, it's tax-free. But the design on this particular policy is lower premium and more benefit. The cash is really not the primary deal. Okay. And quite honestly, a lot of times we sell insurance policies for cash. Very, very seldom will your clients ever use the cash. They want to feel good, like a security blanket, but they would really have to spend all their other money before they touch this cash. Or they could touch some of the cash in this scenario where the tax rates go up. 10 years from now, the government really tries to stick it to us, and they want to get an extra $30,000 that year out without having to pay tax. I could conceive of that happening, but the likelihood that they're going to really be drawing out the bulk of this cash is very, very low. So easily, this can be done with the resources that we talked about. Now, if we want to beef it up a little bit and create some additional benefit, we can bring the premium up an extra 10 grand and put 26 grand a year in here. And the $26,000 a year policy is now going to give them an increasing benefit in a more aggressive cash position. So here's where the rubber hits the road here. 20 years from now, right? They're putting in $26,000 into this policy. Their $500,000 death benefit policy has gone up to $865,000. That $865,000 is good for survivor benefit, so it's tax-free to the spouse or to the kids, which is way better than leaving a taxable IRA, right? But it also gives them the chronic illness benefit. So if they need any long-term care benefits, they can essentially take out about $100,000 a year tax-free for 8 years, right? Now, if you want to look at the IRA scenario where they are in 20 years, right? In 20 years, they've got $652,000 left of their 800 and something, taking out this 50 grand, right? So we're slowly paying it down, and now they got 652, but now they got 652 plus they've got the insurance, right? So they got 652 plus they got 582 in the insurance cash value. The difference, though, is this 582 is tax-free. So what we've simply done is we've just slowly changed over their taxable accounts and put them into tax-free, tax-sheltered insurance and got them some added protection in the wake of that. So it really doesn't have to be too much more complicated than that. We're not trying to calculate rate of return. We're not doing any other type of real analysis here. We're just saying, hey, we need more protection. We want some tax sheltered. We're going to add long-term care. Anything beyond that, it can really tend to overcomplicate things. But the way that we want to close these cases, honestly, is make them resource-driven. It's not me saying they need $500,000 worth of insurance. It's us saying, hey, we got 26 grand here. Between what we're saving a month, between the CRUD income, between this other stuff, let's try and get the best potential solution for cash and insurance that we can. If we can add some protection here, that's fantastic. If you die and you never needed the long-term care, that $865,000 life insurance is probably worth about a $1.2 million IRA. So they still have their IRA left, or a significant portion of it, but now they have the insurance on top of that. It's much more accessible. It's not going to be affected by taxes and changes in the tax laws or anything else that comes down the pike. So this is a pretty comprehensive deal. We're going to deliver the insurance. We're going to deliver the trust in the fourth meeting. We're going to fund everything. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the remainder of the money from the retirement account that we haven't gotten yet. I got this at the beginning. I think we're even potentially looking at the One America solution for some of this cash here. But, you know, this client isn't going to be able to do all the stuff that they should have been able to do a year ago. You know, and that's really where, you know, it kind of resonates with me that, you know, we don't want to be we don't want to be insistent, but we really want to be persistent. There's a huge difference. And part of our job isn't just to show people solutions, but to motivate them to act. You know, a couple of the greatest forces of the universe is inertia and procrastination. So if we get people moving in the right direction, we can make it so that their plans are really bulletproof. You know, we can uncover all the what ifs and make sure that they're going to be comfortable no matter what. Or we can not do a great job, or we can put it off and let them put us off and completely put them at risk for running out of money, devastating their entire retirement portfolio, being at the mercy of taxation and the government as they get older, and losing their ability to have options and choice, and making them fearful of spending money, not being able to do the charitable stuff they want to do, not being able to conserve the estate for their kids. I mean, the insurance solution here is a game changer for these guys. And getting them done. I mean, I've got 79-year-old clients. In fact, I've got clients that are 85-year-old that I've done insurance with. You know, it's never too late to do something. So I would just really encourage you guys to watch all of the different steps of the process, bring your clients through it. The clients don't know, and they can't tell when in this four-step process that they've become clients of ours. You know, they can't put their finger on it and say, okay, yeah, I bought something from Jonathan, now as client. That never really goes through their mind. You know, the idea of the four-step process is to be educational for them, teach them a bunch of things, and start to acquire their business without them feeling like you're selling them anything. It's a really, really positive experience for them, and it should be a very good financially rewarding experience for you as well. And it also forces us to make sure that we don't leave any stones unturned. We're going over the scenarios. We're introducing them to all these things. They might not do the insurance today. They might not do the trust today. They might not do the tax harvesting today. They might not do the Roth conversion today. But at least we were able to educate them about their options. And if they put us off, then it's on them. And the vast majority of the time, they're not going to put us off, and we're going to be able to do all the different planning that we need to do. So that is the final one for all of the stuff that we do. And hopefully you guys are going to be able to follow this process and watch the videos and bring your clients through it. You know, obviously we're available for joint work to help you guys out. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now and see if you guys have any final questions. So let me see if I can do that. Thank you guys very much.